People everywhere are starting to listen to him. He's going on French, British, Italian, Japanese television.
This is the Wide World of Weingarten.
Welcome back, Wide World of Weingarten, December 7th. It's Tuesday, 6 o'clock in Los Angeles. Got off to a little bit of a late start today. Had a lot of things to talk about, a lot of stuff to go over. First off, I guess we'll just jump back into the NFL from last night. The Patriots won their 7th game in a row against the Bills on Monday Night Football. The wind was a major factor as expected. Just about everything went under. Full game, alt totals, player props, Mac Jones, rushing, every wide receiver under, I think, hit. The only unders that didn't hit that I could think of off the top of my head was the Patriots first half team total was 10, 9.5, 9. It was 11 at half. They scored 11 points. And then the first quarter under was the only other loser I could think of. Otherwise, just about everything else won. I did well on the alt unders. I think I won every alt under finally, except under 20. That was a little unfortunate, high scoring first quarter. But the game itself, it reminded me of a column that Ray Ratto, formerly of San Francisco newspapers, recently of Deadspin. I don't know what he's doing now, but I know him as a actual journalist and a good one. But it reminded me of something he wrote a couple of years ago when the Patriots beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. It was a column he wrote. It was called "Bill Belichick Stands Athwart of the Future." I'm gonna quote a couple things he says in that article because he conveys how I feel about Bill Belichick and this game so perfectly. He says, "New England fans got what they want. So did New England bettors and Julian Edelman alkalites and people who think punting is undervalued and people who think the Super Bowl lost its magic in 1974. You can't displease all the people all the time." He's talking about the Rams Patriots Super Bowl here. But he says, "But mostly this was Bill Belichick's masterpiece, his Sistine Chapel with video capability. As the game's preeminent historian, he has known more ways to win a game than most of us have learned to watch one. And with every trend in the sport going towards offensive pyro-spectaculars and playbooks powered by dilithium crystals, he decided to force-feed America a 3-hour tutorial on Chuck Noll and Don Shula and George Allen and Bud Grant. It was the early 70s and you were there. It's a lesson America didn't enjoy and one it will hate all the more in years to come, but Belichick, who has adapted to changing more in the sport as much as any coach, dragged us all by our slackened eyelids back to a time when we thought presidents didn't come worse than Richard Nixon and sports was designed solely as a lesson in denial of pleasure and the repudiation of style." This was him saying, "This is a game you're too young to remember, but I'm not, and I know how to make you sit at this table and eat it until it's gone." Also, obviously the wind played a factor in it, but Ray Ratto has written about Bill Belichick as well as anybody can concisely put into words how I feel about how Belichick approaches games like this. He saw this was a windy game, and he created a game plan to beat the Wind and the Buffalo Bills. And he was an underdog. He was 3-point underdog, dog on the money line. And I just think it's going to be a very long time until we see the Patriots and Alabama as dogs on the money line in the same week. That was a little weird. One more line from Ray Ratto to describe Belichick, because I think it so well. He writes about Belichick so well. He says, "Belichick's library of old football books, inherited from his father and augmented since then by his own curiosity, got a word in Edgewise Sunday, which surely amused him more than any of his other championships." And then in parentheses he goes, "Now here's where we used a little of Tom Landry's 1958 Giants defense, and after we scored that touchdown, we showed a little bit of the front Zukov used at the Battle of Kursk." That sort of defines Bill Belichick's approach to game planning. And one of the unique things he does differently than a lot of head coaches is the defensive game plan is different every week for the Patriots. They come up with what they want to do and create a new plan every week, as opposed to having a set philosophy. We're going to run a 4-3 zone, 4-3 cover 2, whatever. They're flexible. If Bill Belichick decided tomorrow to run a 3-4 front for whatever reason, he'd have a good reason to do it. He'll switch on the fly. But last week I was very adamant that Bill Belichick is not Coach of the Year. I still kind of feel that way, in the sense that the Coach of the Year award should go to somebody who's done a job building something up, rebuilding something up. And although the Patriots is a rebuilding job, I don't think you can consider New England a rebuilding franchise. And for the reasons I've explained before, I think Belichick should be the general manager of the year for his drafting and free agent signings. Bill Belichick, if we're going to give him Coach of the Year, we basically have to give him Coach of the Year every year till he retires, because he's just running circles around everybody at this point. I mean, Mac Jones threw 3 passes on the road and they won. It was a great game. Like I said yesterday on Twitter, I was more excited. I was the most excited to watch this game since the Rams Chiefs Monday Night Football game that at the last minute got switched from New Mexico to the Coliseum. I was there. It was great. It was a shootout. But for much different reasons, this was one of the games I was most excited for in a while. It delivered. I enjoyed it. And as far as Coach of the Year, I don't think I'd rush to dump money on Belichick at plus 150. Not saying he's going to win or he's not going to win. Like I said, I can't argue that he's the best coach. I do think there's other compelling situations out there, and guys who could potentially deserve Coach of the Year by pushing their teams to the playoffs. Brian Flores, Nick Sirianni come to mind. John Harbaugh's another guy I've seen other people mention. All those guys have long odds. And as far as betting, I'd still be looking at the guys with long odds. It's a long NFL season. Still a lot of twists and turns left to come, but very impressive stuff from the Patriots. Implications for the AFC East and the AFC number 1 seed, the bye. Patriots in the driver's seat going forward. They have a bye week, a rematch against the Bills coming up. They have the Colts, Jaguars, and Dolphins to finish the season. I think we got to switch the Colts and the Bills rematch in the order, but Dolphins they end the season with, Jaguars before that. So 4 games left for the Patriots to potentially lock down the number 1 seed. And this game last night, I just wanted to also point out, it was a good example of a game where the public and the square side, or whatever you want to call it, and the sharp side were generally the same thing. And I had quipped on Twitter before the game that everybody was talking about the under and the wind, and that the only thing that can conceivably happen now is the game goes under. And the total ticked down from 41.5 to 41, 40. I saw Chris go to 39.5 for kickoff. So I mean, money kept coming in enough to drop it at serious sharp books. But I was worried. I was just worried that there was so much money, and I had so much money on the under and the alt unders, and no touchdown at 100 to 1, and all sorts of bets correlated to low scoring or not scoring. And I was just worried it would go over. And then the first quarter, it went over, and the live total got up to 46.5, 47.5 even. So I had to live bet some more under, knowing the wind is what it was, or was what it was. So I had to take more live under there, but it worked out. And it was just an example of, sometimes you don't have to overthink it. Sometimes you don't have to go contrarian just to go contrarian. The wind was a major factor. It was visible to everybody, and the difference between being square and sharp was how early did you know the wind was going to be an issue, because it you didn't need to wait till Monday to bet it. People were betting it days before. If you bet 39.5, you won. It wasn't necessarily the sharpest bet. If you bet the alt unders, you probably were smarter if you bet them early and you got the best numbers. For example, I got like 35.5 at 2-1. It dropped to plus 180 or 175 earlier, but I got closing line value on all the unders. If you were getting closing line value there, congratulations. This was just an example of a game where there's a right side and a right price. You could have gotten one and not the other, but everybody won, it seems. I don't know very many people who had very much on unders, so congratulations to everybody who won on this game. As far as other stuff going forward, non-coach of the year related, the Bills travel to Tampa this weekend to play Tom Brady and the Bucs on a short week. Got to look at Tampa there. The Dolphins, I mentioned, they have a bye before playing at the Jets next week. So I kind of think an interesting bet, if you think the Bills might lose at Tampa to Tom Brady and the Bucs, would be to bet the Bills no playoffs here at plus 330. I think that's a DraftKings number. Then Dolphins, yes, playoffs. If you haven't bet that yet, it's still 8-1. Both of those numbers would come down with a Bills loss this weekend. So I was just thinking about that. And then I wanted to talk about the Army-Navy game. And one of the reasons I like it so much, why I've hyped it up for several days coming into this. I got to pull out a book behind me real quick. Excuse me. It's what I got here is Charlie Pierce. Sorry, I'm still getting used to showing stuff to the camera. It's the sports guy, Charlie P. Pierce. If you're not familiar with him, you should be. He's a great writer. He's written for all sorts of national publications. He currently writes for, I don't know, GQ or Esquire or something, more politics-based stuff. His sports stuff, I think, as far as just writing goes, he's an amazing writer. One of the better ones. I don't love his political stuff. I think he's kind of gotten a little old and stale with some of it, but he's kind of in a position where he can do whatever he wants. So far be it for me to tell him what he should or shouldn't write about. But in terms of sports stuff, the Sports Guy book, it's a collection of a lot of his columns. There's one in here about Peyton Manning that he wrote when Peyton Manning was being recruited to the University of Tennessee. It's one of the better things I've read recently. So if you're looking for a good cheap book on Amazon, Charlie Pierce, the Sports Guy. I'm just going to read something out of it real quick. His first article, you can't see the book, so it doesn't really matter if I hold it up or not. The first story in his book, the first reprinted article, it's called The Big Game, A Big Game. And Charlie Pierce writes, "I am a sucker for the big game, which is not necessarily the same as a championship game. It is not necessarily the same as an important game as defined by television hucksters. A big game is more than that. It's a piece of living history, a theater of generations, with an outcome more compelling than theater of any other kind. Thousands of actors have played Hamlet, but Hamlet always dies. Thousands of players have played in the Harvard Yale football game, and very few of them have the same story to tell. If all the elements are right, and if history has aligned correctly with the motion of the moment, I would rather be at a big game than almost anywhere in the world." And I agree with him. And the more you watch and gamble on sports, the more you kind of get an eye for what's a big game and what's just an important game, like you said, defined by television hucksters. But one more quote from him, if I can find it, because it's been a while since I've done this, so excuse me. But yes, Charlie Pierce says, "My own personal America comes with 6 seconds left and the home team, anybody's home team, with the ball, trailing by a point or a goal. There's a barbecue at the concession stand, there's beer in a paper cup, and a band is playing across the way. I can be happy there." But yeah, the idea of a big game, the Army-Navy game in over its 100th itineration on Saturday, is always a big game, even if you've never heard of any of the players playing in the game. I happen to watch and follow the Army football team for the reason being that they play their games at 9 in the morning on Saturday, and I like to get my Saturday football gambling started early and out of the way. And they happen to run that that triple option offense with a very ball control running offense, which means the clock's moving and I can get my day on faster. So I'm an Army fan because they've always been fun to watch early in the morning. I've been following them for several years now. I'll tell some good Army stories probably tomorrow. But this game total is Army minus 7.5, and total the money, the spread is Army minus 7.5. The total is 34. I've even seen some 33.5s. I think that it's no secret that the Army Navy games tend to go under. They're pretty aggressive defensive games, and both teams run these strong running offenses, the triple option, and they're both prepared. They know how to defend it. So there's no secret that it's an automatic under. But 34, you have no wiggle room. You literally have zero wiggle room on a 34. And one of the differences this year, but as compared to recent Army teams, is that Army can actually throw the ball. They have a quarterback that occasionally throws the ball, and they put up 40 points versus Wake Forest earlier this year. That was a little bit of a crazy game. So my initial instinct is to stay off the 34 because there's no value in a 34 on an under. But my other initial instinct is Navy getting 7.5 points on a 34 total is worth considering. And my eye immediately goes to the dog in this case on the low total. So I'm looking at Navy here. I need some more time to get into that to in terms of betting. So we'll have a more talk on Army Navy tomorrow. In fact, it'll probably be a pretty heavy Army Navy week. So be prepared for that, I guess. But the other big game, there's not the only big game this weekend, is besides from Army Navy, and we also get a full slate of NFL on Sunday. But besides all of that, we also get the Grey Cup. There was no Grey Cup in 2020, so this is the first post-COVID Grey Cup since 2019. 2019 was the Hamilton Tiger Cats versus the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 2021, it's a rematch of Hamilton versus Winnipeg. Hamilton will have home field advantage on Sunday when it faces Winnipeg at a sold-out Tim Hortons field. The Bombers defeated the Ticats, like I said, in 2019. The final score of the Grey Cup was 32-12, and they're looking to win back-to-back but non-consecutive Grey Cups. The Eastern Final, Dane Evans came in for Hamilton, replaced Jeremiah Mazzoli, who Oregon and Ole Miss fans might remember. Mazzoli was replaced by Evans in the second quarter. Evans went 16 for 16 for 249 yards, passing yards and a touchdown. And Hamilton has not said who's going to start at quarterback in the Grey Cup, but personally, I think going into the Grey Cup or the Super Bowl or the championship for anything, not having a quarterback, not having not having defined who your quarterback is not great. It's not something I think inspires confidence. Even though these two guys, Dane Evans, former Tulsa quarterback, and like Mazzoli from who spent time at Oregon and then University of Mississippi, they're both competent quarterbacks, and I don't know. I just think I think not naming them, you have that element of surprise or whatever you think you're doing, but it's not inspiring to not know who your quarterback is before a championship game. And Winnipeg has a very strong defense. It's led by NFL quality defensive line Jackson Jeffcoat from University of Texas, spent his career in the CFL. Willie Jefferson, who was a teammate of Josh Gordon and Robert Griffin at Baylor, and I think had some marijuana problems that prevented him from getting his NFL career underway. And he ended up in Canada, where he's teamed with Taylor to lead a very good Winnipeg defense. Winnipeg also has Canadian running back Andrew Harris. Missed some time earlier this year. Was the MVP of the 2019 Grey Cup. He was back for the Western Conference Final. I think he had like 165 yards rushing. Very good running back. Winnipeg, I think, is the better team. Typically, my CFL betting, sort of traditionally in the past, has had two major focuses. One, I bet CFL early in the CFL season before the NFL starts, when there's nothing going on, and the idea of betting on any sort of football is appealing in late July or August, whenever the CFL season starts. There's also an edge on unders early in the CFL, or there has been. So I usually bet the CFL, and it trails off as the NFL comes back. My attention goes other places. I pick it up a little bit during the playoffs, and then the Grey Cup. Obviously, I mean, you're gonna always bet the biggest game of the year. It's televised on ESPN2 usually, or whatever. Done pretty well in CFL, other than a year or two randomly where I did incredibly bad, and for one year I feel like I couldn't even win a bet. But overall, I do pretty well at the CFL. I don't think it's the most complex league to bet. As far as the quarterback for Winnipeg, if you're not familiar with either of these teams, and I'm assuming you're mostly not, the quarterback for Winnipeg is Zach Collaros, who was from the University of Cincinnati. He threw for 3,185 yards this season, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Kenny Lawler from Cal is his top receiver. I just went ahead, laid -3 with Winnipeg. I will definitely be watching this game, most likely tweeting about it. It's fun. It's if you've never watched Canadian football before, it's the championship game, and it's pretty fun game to watch. It'll be on midday on Sunday. So Winnipeg -3 is my bet there. Gonna take a break real quick. Welcome back, Wide World of Weingarten. Have a bunch more stuff to go through today and this week. NFL awards. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Tom Brady is the favorite for MVP. Every week that the NFL season goes further on, you can start eliminating more and more guys in all these markets. So we're definitely getting to the point where you can kind of make short lists of top 5, top 10 people who you think are more serious contenders in all the markets. Other than, Mac Jones, I'm assuming is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. There's obviously going to be some slight competition there from Jamar Chase, but you can't really argue with 9 quarterback wins for a rookie. Beyond that, Belichick's favorite coach of the year. The defensive player of the year market's still a little up in the air. There's some contenders, some guys fighting for position there. And then Micah Parsons, defensive player of the year. Patrick Surtain fighting for second. Viable candidate, but not going to beat Micah Parsons now. So we're gonna talk about all that stuff more tomorrow. But one thing I just wanted to do a quick other book review. I mentioned Charlie Pierce's book. I just got a new book in the mail today. As you could see, I'm gonna try to lift it. It is called The Greatest Story in Sports: Green Bay Packers 1919-2019. So it's a 4-volume history, a very fancy bound book about the first 100 years of the history of the Green Bay Packers. You can see I'm wearing my Packers Hawaiian shirt. I was a Packers fan before I was a Rams fan. So go Pack Go. As you can see again, takes me a minute to lift it up. 4 volumes. It's so new. It literally came in the mail right before I was about to start recording this, so I haven't even taken it out of the wrapping yet. I think it was about $100. It's available via the Packers Pro Shop, so I'm not selling it to you or anything. I'm not getting any commission if you buy it or not, but very excited to read it. It'll go to the top of my reading list after I finish the next couple books I'm in the middle of. So the Packers first 100 years is available. Probably if you're a Packers fan or into football history like I am, worth $100. Can't wait to read it. Then we have baseball cards. I'm going to pull out 2. If the first one's good, we're only going to do 1. If the first one's some crappy card, then we'll do 2 cards. So let's see what I got today. All right, so package number 1. So you can see none of these are doctored. I don't remember when I bought this, but according to the postage, it was postmarked on 5/14. So, whose card was I buying in May of the season? We were just getting underway. Do we think it's a good card? Do we think it's a bad card? The seller wrapped it nicely. Let's see. Wrapped it in the receipt. Smart. Thank you for your purchase. Oh, cool. What fortune, I suppose. Another good job. This is pretty typical of the wrapping. If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna get my my cutting thing out. Just gonna cut the edges real quick. Got me a little razor here. Works well. You just gotta be careful. You don't ever want to cut the card, or worse, yourself. Stitches, very expensive. So, who do we got here? We've got a Josiah Gray. Josiah Gray rookie card. Really got to work on maybe like getting a gallery of these pictures up on a website or something so you guys could see everything. But so you can see he's blocking my face right now. But that's autograph Dodgers prospect Josiah Gray. He ended up getting traded midseason with Keibert Ruiz, whose card I opened last week on whatever day that was. So as you could see, at some point last year, I was buying Dodgers prospects. Not a surprise, but I had Keibert Ruiz and Josiah Gray. They probably had slightly more value as Dodgers, but not terrible. Not upset with either of those cards. I will probably put them on eBay. Might even package them together. Gonna open one more just because I'm already here. So you see this guy packed my card in other cards. That's pretty standard. You get that on eBay a lot. They're just like, here's some junk cards for you. Always nice. Oh, cool. This is a great card. I'm glad we pulled this. I wasn't what do you call it? I'm not like seeding these lots with fake cards or stuff that I like hid in here. These are all things I actually bought. Juan Soto autograph card. I'm trying to get it so you can see it as good as possible. But this is a Juan Soto autograph, not his first, not his Bowman Chrome rookie or anything, but it is number 2 out of 50. So I'm guessing it's a gold chrome, but it's an authentic, top certified autograph. Probably worth a couple $100. I bought this near the end of the season. Truthfully, his main cards are mostly unaffordable to most people, myself included, unless you're planning on spending upwards of 10, 20, 30 plus thousands of dollars for a card. You're really kind of gonna be fishing for other autographed cards, and I happened to just see this one in eBay a couple times, and I knew it was out of 50, and it's one of those horizontal cards that's not necessarily as cool to some people, but I don't own any Juan Soto autograph cards. I wanted one, and I enjoyed watching him this season, so I'm pretty happy to add that to my collection. And that's baseball card talk for today. I got a Josiah Gray autograph purple chrome Bowman first rookie card, and a out of 50 Juan Soto card Bowman. Also, I think it's Topps. I actually don't even know, to tell you the truth. I believe it's Topps, not a Bowman, but Topps owns Bowman, so sometimes I get confused. Baseball cards are not my specialty. Gambling is my specialty, but I do the baseball cards for fun. So I was glad we pulled that Juan Soto card. I knew it was there. I wasn't sure if it would it'd be soon or months, but glad we got it out of the way and could show that card off. I knew it was coming, so I'm glad it finally showed up. Tomorrow we'll go over the Army Navy game in depth more. We'll see if the Grey Cup has a starting quarterback announced, and we'll go through the NFL awards because I haven't done that yet, and I still need some time to figure all that stuff out. But yeah, Winnipeg -3 is my bet in the Grey Cup, and we'll go from there. So tune in tomorrow, and I hope you enjoyed the talk on all the stuff today. Thanks.